Welcome back, students. This is the last video in the series of the joints, okay? And in this video what we are going to learn is about the nerve supply and blood supply of a synovial joint. We are not talking of cartilaginous and fibrous joint. Here we are only talking about the blood supply and nerve supply of the synovial joint, okay? So we go to the next slide where we will see that nerve supply and blood supply of a synojoint. So let us come first to the nerve supply. Three different types of the nerve supply a synovial joint. Okay, any synovial joint is supplied by three different types of nerve. The first type of the nerve is supply is the sensory nerve, and this sensory nerve, since it is sensory, it conveys mostly the sense of pain. Okay, that is, every joint has to be supplied by this sensory nerve, which is protective in nature to a joint. So a nerve, I would say joint, is supplied by the sensory nerve and mostly the pain fibers. Pain fibers, you feel the pain from a joint. Second type of the nerve is supplied to joint is also sensory, but this sensation is called as proprioceptive sensation. In the first category, that was sensory nerve, it may be conveying the pain either from the mostly from the skin or from the capsule or from the, I mean to say, ligaments or synovial membrane. But in the second category of sensory nerve, which I said is also there, it is proprioceptive sensation. That means this sensation are going to your brain either at the conscious level or unconscious level, but it is carrying the sense of what is going on within the articular capsule, within the tendon, okay, within that of the ligament. So sensation of stretch, tension, okay, vibration, they go from that of the tendon, from that of not exactly tendon, it is the ligaments, the capsule, the synovial membrane, okay, and of course from the tendon which are attached to the, some of them they are very close to the capsule, okay, so from that tendons also, these are called as proprioceptive sensation. In short, you learn at this stage that the sensation going from the joint structure, as we have learned the various structure except the articular cartilage, okay, which is not supplied by the nerves, okay, which is not supplied. Then the third category of the nerve is supply to a joint is autonomic nerve. Autonomic means mostly sympathetic and in some cases parasympathetic, but mostly in a joint they are sympathetic nerve and they are not supplying to any part of the the synovial joint, neither to ligament nor to that of the capsule. They are also not supplying to the synovial membrane, but these now are supplying to the blood vessels which are there in the joint. That means there is a plexus of the nerve, okay, that is called as the, joint plexus outside the joint, and then there is a fine plexus beneath the synovial membrane also, okay, inside the capsule. All these blood vessels, there is a muscle called as a smooth muscle coat in blood vessel, tunica media or middle coat, which consists of the smooth muscle fiber, and these smooth muscle fibers are supplied by the sympathetic nerves because their stimulation may lead to the constriction of this smooth muscle coat or relaxation, and thus allowing more blood to be flowed through that of the joint, or less blood should go to the joint depending on. And this regulation is autonomic, that means it is automatically training. You cannot give order to your blood vessel to give more blood to your particular joint or less blood to your particular joint. तो इस तरह से तीन तरह की नर्व्स हमारे जॉइंट को सप्लाई करती हैं। सेंसरी नर्व जो कि मोस्टली पेन सेंसेशन देती हैं, स्किन से जा सकता है, डीपर पार्ट से जा सकता है, एंड द प्रोप्रोसेप्टिव सेंसेशन की नर्व्स हैं वो भी सेंसरी हैं, पर वो मोस्टली टेंशन, वाइब्रेशंस, स्ट्रेच, इस तरह के सेंसेशन जॉइंट से ले जाती हैं। एंड थर्ड तरह की नर्व है जो कि ऑटोनॉमिक सिंपैथेटिक हैं, जो कि ब्लड वेसल को सप्लाई करती हैं। Coming to the nerve supply again to the synovial joint, pain sensation is carried from synovial membrane. To which area this synovial nerve, sensory pain supply nerve is going? It is going to the synovial membrane, it is going to the fibrous capsule, and it is going to the ligament. So these are the areas of a joint which can become painful if injury takes place there. Not the articular cartilage. Hyaline cartilage is not supplied with the nerve. Okay. Then articular cartilage, as I said, is not supplied by the nerve. So it is not the pain sensitive. इसमें से कोई पेन नहीं जाएगा आर्टिकुलर कार्टिलेज में. इसलिए जब movements takes place होते हैं between the two articular cartilage, okay, during the movements no pain goes from our joint. Then the proprioceptive fibers, they will supply the capsule again, they will also supply the ligament, and thus they will convey the sensation of stretch and degree of movement. कभी कभी हम excessive movement कर लेते हैं किसी joint पे, तो joint में हमें pain होने लगता है, तो हमें पता चलता है कि now the limit has come for that movement, we should not further go, otherwise there will be injury to the joint structures. Okay, thus by reflex control, and in unconsciously भी ये control होता है. Okay, reflex control, the posture and body movements can be maintained. Okay, so when you are sitting on your seat, as you are sitting right now, okay, there are many muscles which are sending the proprioceptive sensation to your brain, and the brain is adjusting your muscles so that you remain seated on your seat. Otherwise you will fall if the muscle will not be contracted in contracted condition, then you will fall. A dead person cannot sit on a chair. Okay, only living person, where this sensation is going from joints and coming back to the muscle and acting on the joint, then only you can unconsciously, this is happening, you are sitting, or when you are standing, that is happening. Now the third category of the nerve, autonomic nerve supply, blood vessels and capsule to regulate the blood flow, that I have already mentioned. Okay, coming to the next slide, and this is important because it deals with a law, and this law is known as Hilton's Law. This is a very favorite short note question. What is a Hilton's Law? Okay, Hilton's was a person who has discovered this aspect of a joint nerve supply. Okay, nerve supply of a synovial joint, it follows some rules. Okay, now supplying to sensory fibers to the capsule of joint, as I said that, and in this diagram also, just a minute, let me bring the pointer. In this diagram, what you are seeing is that this is capsule, this green color is the articular capsule, and this articular capsule is supplied by this nerve on this side, and another nerve which is coming from front side is also sending a nerve supply to this articular capsule. So the nerve which is supplying the sensory fibers to the articular capsule and ligament also, articular capsule of a joint will also supply the same nerve which is supplying to, say for example, there may be two nerve which are supplying to the articular, there may be three nerve which may, or there may be a single nerve which may supply to the articular capsule, and the same nerve which is supplying to the articular capsule, this will also supply the motor fibers which is to the muscle, and that muscle is acting on the same joint. See here, this was going to the capsule here, and the same fiber from the same nerve is also going to the muscle to supply the muscle which is acting on the same joint. If this muscle will contract, it will produce flexion. If this muscle will contract, it will produce the extension. So the common is the nerve supplying a sensory nerve, pain sensation to the articular capsule, proprioceptive sensation to the articular capsule, to the muscle also, but it is not the sensory, it is motor. One which is going to the muscle is motor. Stimulation of that nerve will lead to the contraction of the muscle. Okay, Then the sensory fibers from the same nerve will also go to the skin. Okay, the same nerve will also go and supply to that of the skin. That means whatsoever nerve is supplying to the capsule will also have to supply to the motor fiber, to the muscle, and sensory pain fiber to the skin also. Okay, this is the Hilton's law. Okay, what is the use of this? Why this same nerve, whether one nerve or two nerve, they are supplying to the same joint? Why they are supplying to the so many structures surrounding to a joint? Muscle, okay, and skin. This helps to protect the joint. How it will protect the joint then? When joint is excessively stretched, as I said that sometime you can move, make the movements on a particular joint which is beyond the limit, okay? That's why the capsule will get stretched. Here this nerve, okay, will sense this stretching, proprioceptive nerve. So when the capsule will get stretched because of the excessive movement, then it becomes a painful structure. So this pain will be referred to that of the skin, okay, because same nerve is supplying to the skin. It will refer to the skin, okay, and the same sensation will go to the brain, and brain give order for the muscle to contract, so that that stretch, okay, excessive stretch will be relieved by the contraction of the muscle. Okay, muscle contraction will not allow this is excessive stretching too. So that whenever you get a pain in your joint because of injury to the articular capsule, okay, you get a pain on the skin and inside the joint, and at the same time when you are getting pain, you always keep your joint when it is more painful in one particular position, and that one particular position is achieved because of the contraction of the muscle. And this is possible only when the same nerve is supplying to skin, to the capsule, and motor fibers to the muscle. So this is the Hilton's law. Let's go to the blood supply of the joint. Last slide. Now the blood supply of the joint is many arteries which lie close to the joint, and so many arteries when they cross to a joint, they interanastomose, means वो ब्रांच भेजती हैं एक दूसरे से नेटवर्क बनाने के लिए जॉइंट कैप्सूल के बाहर, जॉइंट से थोड़ा दूर, okay, so that they are anastomosing. If three arteries are crossing a joint, आगे पीछे साइड में, they will send many branches and then they will form a anastomotic network around the joint. Okay, why it is necessary? Because the blood supply should not interfere to the joint. Okay, these arteries firstly they form an anastomosis around joint, and then they will penetrate the articular capsule to go inside the deep to the synovial membrane, because they have to supply the synovial membrane to the articular capsule, to the ligaments, okay, to the tendon which is very close. So this is first an anastomosis outside, and then this artery will penetrate the capsule to go to supply the synovial joint. Okay, many small I mean to say blood vessel will penetrate. Okay, not one, not two, many will penetrate. This these arteries which are penetrating, they will supply articular capsule, synovial membrane, and bone. What part of the bone will be supplied? One which is within the articular capsule, covered by synovial membrane. Okay, non-articular part of the bone, because articular part is covered by hyaline cartilage, articular, and it will not be supplied by the blood. But non-articular part of the bone will supply the blood to that of the bone. Okay, from this bone itself. That's why if you will see carefully the ends of the long bones, there you will get many pits, and this is for the passage of the blood vessels for supply. So inside the joint they form a rich arterial plexus, एक और plexus बनेगा, okay, in the connective tissue of synovial membrane, and this thus they will supply the joint profusely. Thank you very much for watching the 4 videos on the joints. Okay.